I I've told Papoose. I told them, why don't you tell us that? Why don't you tell
Before I go to bed, let me clear this up. My last video was questioning whether Claressa Shields was pregnant or not. All the signs were there. Belly bloated. I get it. Women go through monthly things. Women have happy weight when they're in happy relationships. I stated all that. I stated that it could be. I mean, Papoose pointing at her belly, her talking about, I got such a huge announcement, guys. I'm gonna need you to get balloons and champagne. Come on now. Who wouldn't think?
People will cry if they knew the truth. Like literally cry. Like cry.
Next year. We already have it planned out. I'm gonna have a baby next year. And then after I go through my stuff, then I'll come back and fight some more, and then probably have another one and then do the same thing again. Like, I don't want to wait till I'm, 40, 43, whatever, after my career to have my kids.
Why don't you tell your current come up? 'Cause that's what it is. Tell your current come up. Don't say nothing about me. Maybe not even say nothing about you until shit is what it is. I'm in here on my TVs.
So how you want your ass? Scramble hard. I know how he likes it. That's nothing. You know how much I cook for this man? Yeah, you do.
We want you to know that we in full support. Well, I'm definitely in full support because I love you to death. Let me say it again in case they didn't hear me. I love you to death more than anything. But look, congratulations, Win Records, Claressa the Quote Shields. Let's go, baby. $8 million new deal. Biggest deal. Boxing woman boxing.
And I talk to my man like a king. Don't ever get it messed up, baby. I may have the muscles and I may know how to fight, but I'm very submissive to my man because my man's a good man. And, he takes very good care of me.
Right when the internet thought the drama between Claressa Shields, Papoose, and Remy couldn't get any messier, a rumor started spreading that instantly set social media on fire. It began quietly, with whispers from people who claimed they had been around Claressa's recent training sessions. According to those insiders, something looked different. They said the undefeated champion, who normally trains with explosive intensity, seemed slightly more cautious lately. And some even claimed they noticed what looked like the beginning of a baby bump. At first, most fans brushed it off as internet exaggeration. Fighters fluctuate in weight all the time, especially when preparing for different divisions. But then another rumor surfaced. Claressa might cancel or postpone an upcoming fight. Suddenly, the speculation started to feel less random. The whispers began turning into questions, and the questions quickly turned into viral posts asking the same thing. Was the boxing superstar secretly pregnant? The rumor might have faded like most celebrity gossip does, but then one line changed everything. Remy casually dropped a cryptic comment online, saying that if people really knew the truth, they would literally cry. That sentence spread across blogs and timelines in minutes. Because when a legal wife says something like that, while pregnancy rumors swirl around the woman currently dating her husband, people don't hear shade. They hear a warning. And just like that, the curiosity exploded. Now, the internet wasn't just asking if Claressa was pregnant. They were asking what truth Remy might be hinting at. What made the rumor even more believable to some fans was the timeline. This wasn't the first time Claressa Shields had talked about wanting to become a mother. In fact, she had already been discussing the idea publicly for more than a year. During interviews about her career, she explained that she didn't want to wait until the end of her boxing journey to start a family. Instead, she talked about carefully planning it around her career. She openly said that she wanted to have a baby while still active in the sport, step away briefly, and then return to the ring afterward. At one point, she even mentioned a specific time frame, saying she planned to have a baby in 2025 before continuing her career and potentially repeating the process later. To her, it sounded like strategy rather than impulse. She was mapping out her life the same way she mapped out her fights. That's why fans started digging up older clips and interviews the moment the rumor began circulating. They pointed out that she had already talked about stepping away temporarily from motherhood and then returning stronger. And then there were her more recent comments about wanting to surprise Papoose with a baby for his birthday. She said he deserved everything and joked that she wished she could give him the ultimate gift. On its own, that might have sounded romantic. But when people combined that statement with the earlier timeline she had already laid out, the speculation started to feel like it might actually line up. But this is where the story becomes complicated. Because no matter how many times Claressa refers to Papoose as her man, one fact hasn't changed. Legally, he is still married to Remy Ma. The couple tied the knot years ago and built one of hip-hop's most famous loyalty stories together. Their relationship survived prison sentences, industry pressures, and years of public scrutiny, which is why many fans saw them as one of rap's most solid marriages. But despite rumors that they had separated or were heading toward divorce, the paperwork hasn't been finalized. And that detail changes everything about how people interpret the pregnancy rumor. If Papoose and Remy Ma were already officially divorced, most people would simply view the situation as a new relationship moving forward. But because the marriage technically still exists on paper, the internet sees a triangle instead of a clean break. That legal connection is why every comment, every tweet, and every hint suddenly carries more weight than it normally would. And while the legal situation quietly sits in the background, Claressa has been anything but subtle about claiming her relationship publicly. Over the past year, she has repeatedly referred to Papoose as my man in interviews, posts, and live streams. She's never hidden the relationship or treated it like something private. If anything, she's leaned into it. One moment that especially caught people's attention happened during a playful exchange online when someone asked Papoose how he likes his eggs. Before he could even respond, Claressa jumped in and answered for him, confidently saying she knew exactly how he liked them cooked. It was a small moment, but social media read it as something much bigger. To many viewers, it looked like a public declaration of territory. The kind of moment where someone subtly reminds the world that they know their partner's habits in ways outsiders don't. And Claressa hasn't exactly toned that energy down since then. She frequently posts affectionate messages about him, praises his support, and emphasizes how happy they are together. To her supporters, it looks like a woman proudly celebrating her relationship. To critics, it sometimes feels like someone trying a little too hard to prove something. Meanwhile, Remy Ma's reactions have been much quieter, but that silence has been just as loud. One of the most talked about moments happened when Claressa showed off a Van Cleef bracelet that Papoose had reportedly given her as a gift. It was presented as a sweet gesture between a couple, and fans immediately began sharing the clip online. Not long after, Remy posted photos of herself wearing multiple Van Cleef bracelets stacked on her wrist. She didn't mention Claressa directly. She didn't reference the situation or start a rant. She simply showed the jewelry and moved on. But social media immediately interpreted the post as a response. People saw it as a subtle message. You may have one bracelet, but I have a collection. Whether that was the intention or not, the moment fed the narrative of a silent rivalry playing out online through hints rather than direct confrontation. Another layer that caught people's attention was the contrast between how Claressa describes her role in the relationship compared to how fans remember Remy's dynamic with Papoose. Claressa has said that despite her powerful image as a world champion boxer, she is very submissive to her man at home. She described treating him like a king and said he takes good care of her. That statement surprised some fans because it created a very different picture from the power couple dynamic people associated with Remy Ma and Papoose. For years, their relationship looked like two equally strong personalities standing side by side. Remy carried her own influence, her own voice, and her own presence in the partnership. So when Claressa framed herself as softer and more traditional in comparison, it made people wonder whether Papoose was drawn to a completely different dynamic now, or whether Claressa was intentionally presenting herself that way. Then the rumors took a darker turn. As soon as Remy's people would cry if they knew the truth, comment resurfaced in conversations. Some corners of the internet started speculating about what that truth could be. A few posts suggested that if Claressa really was pregnant, the timeline might not be as straightforward as it appears. Others went even further, floating the possibility that the baby might not belong to Papoose at all. There's no evidence supporting that theory, but once a rumor reaches that level of speculation online, it tends to spread quickly regardless of facts. Suddenly, Remy's cryptic comment began circulating again as if it were a clue in a mystery. People replayed it, analyzed it, and debated what she might have meant. As the conversation grew bigger, another debate entered the mix. Some fans argued that the criticism toward Claressa was unfair and rooted in a deeper issue about how people react to Black relationships in the public eye. They said that whenever Black love is visible and unapologetic, critics appear immediately to tear it apart. Others pushed back, saying the issue wasn't about culture, but about timing and transparency. To them, the problem wasn't two people being happy together. It was the fact that the legal marriage between Papoose and Remy Ma still exists while a new relationship unfolds publicly. All of that leads to the real stakes behind this entire situation. Because if Claressa does eventually announce a pregnancy, the internet won't simply react with congratulations. People will immediately start analyzing dates and timelines. They'll ask whether the divorce had already been finalized when the relationship began moving toward that next step. They'll question when the pregnancy may have started and whether it overlaps with unresolved chapters in Papoose's marriage. And in the middle of all that scrutiny will be Remy Ma, whose earlier comment will suddenly look either prophetic or completely misunderstood. At the end of the day, the situation feels like two very different promises unfolding at the same time. Claressa appears to be promising a future, talking about family, children, and building a life with the man she loves. Remy, on the other hand, seems to be promising something else entirely. The truth, whatever that truth might be. And when the next big announcement finally comes, if it comes at all, the internet probably won't celebrate right away. First, they're going to calculate. Because in a story like this, timing might end up meaning everything.